The moment I told my husband he'd never satisfy me like my ex, I felt the silence in the room grow heavier than anything I'd ever known. It was as if I had thrown a grenade at the life we had built and was just waiting for the explosion. His eyes didn't fill with tears, his hands didn't shake, he didn't scream or throw things the way I thought he might. Instead, he smiled, a calm and steady smile that cut deeper than any anger could have. And in that smile, I saw something that terrified me. Not sadness, not rage, but freedom. He stood up, folded his shirt neatly into the suitcase he had already pulled from the closet, and in that moment, I realized this wasn't the first time he had thought about leaving. This was him waiting for the final nail in the coffin, and I had just handed it to him without mercy. I tried to backtrack. I tried to say I didn't mean it, that I was just angry, that it came out wrong. But the truth was, it hadn't come out wrong at all. It came out exactly the way my bitter heart wanted it to, and now it was too late to take it back. He didn't even answer me. He just packed slowly, like a man folding up the last chapter of a book he'd finally finished reading. And when he zipped the bag shut, he looked at me and said quietly, "You finally gave me what I needed." And then he walked out the door, proud, tall, leaving me with a silence so loud it still echoes in my bones. I wanted to scream, to beg, to throw myself on the floor and plead with him not to go. But something in me knew he had already gone long before his feet crossed that doorway. I had been cruel for months, pushing him away, comparing him to someone who never cared about me, always testing his patience, and he had endured it with grace, with love, until finally I had broken him in a way no one could repair. At first I told myself he'd come back, that no man would just leave his wife like that maybe he just needed time to cool off. But the days turned into weeks and the weeks into months, and what I didn't realize was that he wasn't cooling off. He was erasing me, deleting me from his life one detail at a time. I found out from mutual friends that he closed our joint bank account and moved his savings somewhere I couldn't touch. He cut the lease and took his name off everything. He told everyone we knew not to involve him in my drama. He even unfriended my family on social media. It was like he wanted no trace of me left, and he did it all with dignity. No shouting, no messy public scenes, no slander, just silence and distance. And that silence hurt worse than any insult could have. I called him 100 times, texted him 1,000 more, sometimes apologizing, sometimes raging, sometimes pretending I was fine. But his phone stayed cold, his replies non-existent. He had decided I was no longer worthy of his energy, and that broke me in ways I never imagined. Because I had always believed he needed me more than I needed him. I believed I could say anything, do anything, and he would still be there, patient, forgiving, waiting for me to come around. But I was wrong. He had more strength than I ever gave him credit for. And when I pushed him too far, he didn't just push back. He walked away with his pride intact, leaving me to crumble in the ruins of my own making. I tried to distract myself with the same ex I had compared him to, thinking maybe there was truth in what I said. Maybe I could find that thrill again, but all I found was emptiness. The ex never loved me. He used me for attention. And when I showed up at his door, desperate and broken, he laughed in my face and told me I was nothing but a convenient mistake. That was the moment I realized what I had thrown away wasn't just a marriage. It was a man who truly loved me, who gave me stability, loyalty, and care that no one else ever would. And I had crushed it for a fantasy. Now I wake up every morning in a bed that feels too big, too cold, scrolling through pictures of him on my phone like an addict searching for one last hit. But every time I stop on the image of his smile, I remember that last day, the way he walked out without begging me to stop him, without even looking back, and that memory haunts me more than any nightmare. I see him sometimes from a distance. He looks healthier, stronger, almost as if my betrayal lifted a weight off his shoulders. And though part of me wants to approach him, to throw myself at his feet and confess everything, I know it's pointless. Because his eyes no longer hold even a flicker of the man who once loved me. They hold freedom, dignity, and a quiet revenge that will last forever. The revenge of moving on without me. The revenge of showing me that I was never as irreplaceable as I thought. Now when I tell this story, I don't tell it because I want sympathy. I tell it because it is the rawest truth I've ever lived. that one careless confession can destroy a lifetime of love, that pride can carry a man further than love ever did, and that sometimes the worst punishment isn't anger, it's being forgotten, erased, like you never mattered at all. I told my husband he'd never satisfy me like my ex, but the truth is my ex never satisfied me the way my husband did, and now, with him gone, with my heart hollow, with my nights empty, I finally understand what satisfaction really meant. It meant safety. It meant loyalty. It meant a man who stayed when no one else did, and I threw it away. And now I'm broken in ways I never imagined, left only with my own voice echoing in the silence I created, a silence that will never be filled again.